It all starts with you, though, in that one decision. You can make that one decision today after you hear this podcast. It's one decision. I made one decision to go to rehab and change my life. And like I said, I've made $10 million since that day. You're going to make the sacrifices. Are you going to go without for a while? Are you going to miss some stuff for a while? They hammer me with some of my reels, saying I miss my practices with my kid and I miss that. Somebody's got to make the sacrifices to change the family tree. Somebody's going to have to make the sacrifices to build a $50 to $100 million year company. It's not going to come not working the weekend. What are you going to do if a storm hits Friday? You just going to follow that man-made calendar? Or are you going to win the storm and kill it Saturday, Sunday for the next 2 weeks? Who's going to make the sacrifice? Are you willing to make the sacrifice to change your whole family's trajectory?
Welcome to the Roofing Success Podcast. I'm Jim Aline, and I'm here to bring you insights from top leaders in the roofing industry to help you grow and scale your roofing business.
Raymond Little, man, welcome. How are you?
I'm doing great, brother. It's good to see you.
Yeah, for sure. It's been a while. I remember I've run into you at conferences over the years and watched your guys' growth and success all the way, from building the sales teams and selling yourself, millions of dollars and then through the exit and all the cool stuff that's been going on, man. So it's been really fun, and I'm really excited to have you on, bro.
Yeah, thank you very much, brother, for having me on.
Yeah. For people who don't know you, haven't heard of you that listen to the show, how'd you get into roofing?
Well, I basically got into roofing by mishap. I was on rebuilding my life, coming back from getting sober. I was actually working at a warehouse and, cleaning the floors, custodian, stocking the shelves, doing real minimal work. And my buddy came in with like a F-350 about to get $50,000 worth of work on it. And I was like, damn, bro. And he was kind of a street dude, at one point in time. He always kind of split the, half in the streets, half always had a legit job. He came in and was like, dude, I'm doing roofing. And he came in with that truck and I was like, Jesus, bro. And then when he came and picked it up, I was like, you got to give me an opportunity, man. I've already been sober for like 4 years at this point. I'm rebuilding, bro. I need that opportunity, bro. And he gave it.
There's something about this industry, right? Like, and I've had conversations with a lot of people on the show who have also had, been given, it's like this industry gives this amazing opportunity, right? Whatever your past is, whatever you've gone through in life, like I have had conversations with people that have, been in corporate business jobs and just hated their life and stumbled into roofing, to, people like you who've had trouble through the years. My boy Jay Miller down at Miller Storm in Dallas, who also had trouble. It's this wonderful place. How has it been for you?
It's been great, bro. If you're willing to put in the work, if you're willing to go out there and beat the doors, if you're willing to get on Facebook and, and ask for the referrals, if you're willing to go to the B&I groups, you're willing to ask the real estate agents, you're willing to hustle and network, you can get caught up really quick. That's the blessing in the industry, right? If you're willing to do the work and you're willing to go out there and beat the 100 doors a day and you're willing to go and send the Facebook messages and do everything, you can get caught up really quick. And that's the blessing in the industry, right? The pay is awesome. It's a second chance industry. It's changed so many lives, man. It's a true blessing this industry is.
It is. So why do you think that is? What's the opportunity here that creates that for people?
I don't think it's a lot of skill. I hate to say that. I don't think it's a lot of skill. I think it's just a lot of hustle. And I think if you treat it like a true 9 to 5 and not a hustle, that you will make millions of dollars. I feel like you can make about $1 million in 3 years, and that's your first 3 years. If you treat it like a true, 10-hour a day job, you can get super caught back up. And I think that, as long as you put the time in, you can truly catch back up.
For sure. And that's what, it is definitely an industry that rewards effort. Right?
It's just a numbers game, right? The sales is commission. You get paid your worth. You get paid, what you put in. It returns it to you. It's not.
Yep.
If you get behind in life, you're not going to get caught up with an hourly job. It's just not going to happen. You're always going to be check to check. you can go out here and hit, 100 doors a day, sign 2 a day. I always tell everybody 1 a week will put you 6 figures a year. 3 a week, you won't be looking at price tags on the weekends.
Nice. That's right. So let's talk about the story of the roofing company. How did you become an owner? Because you started on the,
Yeah, I started off
started
as
on,
a canvasser.
yeah,
Yeah.
yep,
Yeah, I started off as a canvasser at True Tech, Roofing and Restoration. Awesome company. I love that company. It's the one that got me into the industry. When Justin he moved to Florida and had another opportunity to team up with another team, and he moved his operation to Florida. Me and Todd and Lance, we started Perimeter Roofing. It was all just by chance. Like I said, people making different decisions, going different directions. I got thrown in from being basically a sales rep, project manager, into being an owner. And learning to duplicate myself many times over and over to build a sales team, and just grow by just chances, by other people's decisions, is how I became an owner.
and with that, what were those lessons of all of a sudden ownership is in your lap and you're like, all right, I'm an owner now. What
I
what
did
was
I
the
didn't. Yeah, sorry, brother. Oh, my bad.
No, go for it. What was the
Yeah,
transition there? How was
yeah.
that for you?
I never looked at myself as an owner. Even when I got my PE check, I didn't look at myself as an owner. I climbed to the day that I retired. I was changing a pipe boot the day before I retired. So I never looked at the ownership role, and I think that's why I had success. Nobody ever worked for me; they worked with me. I was the first one up at 4:30 every morning on GroupMe, talking about let's get it. I'm climbing 7 or 8 roofs a day. I'm putting on the GroupMe app. I'm the last one to come home. I'm getting home at 10:15. When it's getting dark at 8:30, I'm still 2 hours from home, wherever the storm's at, or whatever area we're working at, climbing the dark every day. So I didn't ever take that owner mentality. I always just did it as a team. It's we, not I. And I
Yeah.
think that's why. And I just duplicated myself, about 60 times over.
Yeah.
And led from the front every day.
So that's a big thing, and I've seen it. uh, That's what I've seen success come from. A lot of times people get into that ownership mentality, and then they're like, "Oh no, everyone works for me."
If somebody said they worked for me on Facebook, I'd correct them right there on the comments or right there on their post. No, you work with me. You don't work
Yeah,
for me. No, they're 1099s too, so they truly don't
that's
work
right.
for you. They work
That's right.
with you, and you better figure that out real quick, or those fines start at 6 figures.
Yeah, for sure. So in the growth of Perimeter, what year did you guys start Perimeter then?
16. 16.
16. And so
Mhm.
16 kicked off the year in 16. Everybody kind of came together. So it wasn't like everyone was new to the business. Everyone had, you guys were you already had motion, you know what I mean? And so that you kicked off Perimeter. What was the trajectory of Perimeter then?
I think we did the first year we did in 16. I think we did about 4 million. The second year, I think we did about 6. The third year, I think about 11. The fourth year, like 26. And then after that, it was stayed in the 30s and almost up
Yeah.
to 50. The year I left after the acquisition, the Southeast did right at 94 million with up
Yeah.
under me. Mhm.
So that's a fun ride.
Yeah,
That's
8-year ride, 8-year
yeah. Yeah.
8-year ride, yeah. And, I look back on it now, I'm just now reflecting back on it now,
Yeah.
I was out there 12 hours a day. The first 3.5 years, I worked, 7 days a week. No vacations, no off days, no anything, and, I look back on it now, and it was a wild ride, and now I'm just starting to remember stuff and
Yeah.
realize how it was just 8 years, right? And it was dude, I mean, I'm just now starting to reflect on it because I've been at home since July of 24.
Okay.
I haven't been out in the field.
Yep.
So from 16 to July of 24, whatever that is, how many years that is? Let's see, what, 8 years, something
8
like
years.
that.
Yeah.
And I
Yep.
was at True Tech since 15. So
Yep.
15 to so 9 years. My roofing career was 9 years, right? So
Yeah. What are you reflecting on now? What are some of those things that you're starting to see and it's the looking back is it's that what do they say, like it's 2020 looking back, you know what I mean? Like what were
yeah.
some of those highlights, man? What was the
Uh,
highlight reel for you? Like impactful moments that you didn't know were impactful at the time.
Really, really what it did for me, for my mental health and for my personal drive, being selfish a little bit. Let me be selfish for a second. The benefit of really changing these guys' lives. Like I said, I've said it a few in a couple posts, like watching them buy their first truck, watching that girlfriend turn into a wife, watching, them buy that first house and get out of that rental. Really chasing that and not chasing the money. Cause I had a good bit of money after about year 3. I can't remember. I don't even have my banking app on my phone. Like I just buy bikes. And if I can buy the newest mountain bike and put diesel in my truck, I was good. And I still have my same house that I bought for 65 grand. I redid it a couple of times, but I still live there. Sorry, damn cat jumping in the way. Yeah, reflecting on what it did for me, right? And for my mental state of where I was at in my recovery, how it affected me, not even the money, like what it did for my personal satisfaction. And I really don't have that anymore. That was the biggest thing for me leaving, leaving and going to the house is I don't get that anymore, right? I don't get to personally develop these guys anymore. I don't get to do any of that activity anymore. And I kind of miss it. But just reflecting back over the years and seeing, I did miss a lot with my wife. I did miss, the weekly activities with my kid, during the weekdays, and kind of enjoying, having this relationship with my wife sitting at home now and, just working from the computer or kind of working when I want to, getting to know that person. We've been together 5 years this Christmas. So last month, and really, I've only spent about a year with her.
Yeah.
So, it's definitely interesting, bro, because like I said, I did put my head all the way down and didn't enjoy any of, I enjoyed the security that the money brought. And that was good to lay down at night after a 12-hour day. But now I'm just kind of reflecting on kind of what I missed and kind of, just starting to enjoy the fruits of it.
Before we carry on with the episode, let's give a shout out to one of our sponsors. First, let's get real. You're great at building roofs, but are you great at building a steady stream of leads? That's where Job Nimbus Marketing comes in. They know the roofing industry inside and out, and they'll help you dominate Google, Facebook, reputation management, and everything in between. If you want more quality leads, more booked jobs, and more growth, visit the link in the description or the sponsors page on the Roofing Success Podcast website.
Yeah, there's that. It's Jim Rohn had a quote, something to the effect of, if you could give other people what they want, you'll get everything you want, to paraphrase it, right? And that, giving the opportunity to all those sales reps over the years and helping them grow and helping them achieve their goals, that just comes right back around. What were some of those moments? Like, what were some of those moments where it was like, like this guy, man, it gave him a shot as a canvasser, and then he became, this, or accomplished this.
Them guys are basically running it now for PE, right? They're W-2s, they're 6-figure bases. They're killing it. They're the future of the platform. They'll be running $1 billion platform. Some of these guys were in the streets with me too, and they're W-2s now. And they were actually in the streets with me when I wasn't living the right life, right? And seeing what has changed for them. And that's the most rewarding thing, right? I exited, I got a big check, and it's great, but man, the opportunity that these guys got that were, to be quite frankly, we're trafficking the drugs with me, and we're running those streets. Now they're W-2 now and buying, they got portfolios, real estate portfolios, and buying the trucks they want. And, like I said, and their wives don't have to work anymore, and, stuff like that. And it's really good to see the guys that come out the streets get this opportunity, man. Where in any other industry, I don't know, I don't know of one, but like I said, I've only been doing wrong and then in roofing. So,
yeah. Oh, you get a lot of lessons in both of them. So
right.
So now if you took with the experience that you have, now looking back and reflecting on it, you developed salespeople. That was really what your role was at Perimeter, right? Building the sales team, sales manager, if you want to call it that, whatever, right? Like
glorified sales manager.
Sales manager.
That's what I was, bro. Yep.
So what were some of the lessons now looking back of, hey, these were this is how I find the right person, or these are the qualities that make the right rep to bring on the team?
I mean, I think, I was so strict. I mean, I was really hard to work with. I mean, like I said, I've said it on other podcasts, and I publicly have apologized to even my two business partners because I was hard to work with. Maybe not have been so hard to work with. Maybe not have been so strict. Um, you know, I, I didn't give a lot of people opportunities because of, either the way they looked or their habits or I didn't tolerate any drinking. If you're 1099 and you had your beers up on the weekend, I choose not to use your services. Maybe been a little bit more understanding in that I could look back and maybe could have brought on even more people. But I was really hard to work with, and like I said, I know I was. Maybe I could have been a little bit easier to work with, but I mean, I don't have any regrets, but I mean, that might have
Yeah.
been something
Well,
I could have been a little bit easier
well,
on.
what were some of those what were some of the guardrails that you put up that you said, "Hey, this is if you're gonna be here at Perimeter, we have to you're doing these things. We're very strict about
Yeah, I
these
mean,
policies."
yeah, I was very strict about the drinking, man. I grew up where there's drinking in the house, and there's just no room for it. My first time ever getting in trouble was getting in a fight with somebody that had been drinking, and I got, that was my first time ever getting in trouble and getting a felony, and that was horrible. So I had those guardrails up, no drinking, or don't let me see it, don't let it affect us, affect the goal.
Yep.
And then, physical fitness was huge. I mean, healthy people, selfishly for me, healthy people are easier to manage. So people that don't drink every day are easy to manage. They're more productive. They're easier to train. They sell better. They look better. If you look better, you sell better. I don't care what you say. It does work. People that are, if you take care of your body, the homeowner will think you're going to take care of their project. So I mean, I was pretty strict on that. I would only hire one or two people at a time. I didn't do no mass hirings. There weren't no 10 people coming on. I would take them and personally develop them myself. They'd ride in the truck
Sure.
with me for the first 90 days, and I wouldn't take more than two.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
So
that's
I was really strict on the
yeah,
hiring.
that's like you're only giving 8 opportunities a year to
That's about
Private
right.
Raymond, right?
I'd
To
put on
ride my
Facebook. Yeah. I'd put on Facebook taking one guy or taking two guys right now. I would never take more
Yep.
than that. You're
And
representing my
then
brand. If you're representing my brand, we're going to do it my way.
yep. And then after that 90 days of them, they're learning your way, right? Then
Mhm.
then after the 90 days you were okay, now you're on your own, you're going on, jump in your
Yeah.
truck and go, or what was your
Yeah.
training process? How
So,
how
so,
what was your development process? We'll call
so
it a
when they get in the
development
truck of
process.
me, yeah. So when they got in the truck of me at 7 a.m., or 6:30 a.m. or 5:30 a.m., whatever time we left out, day one, the first roof we go to, I'd put it in their name. Let's just say I had two guys in the truck with me. I got one in the passenger seat, one in the back. I go to the first one, I put it in his name. We go to the second one, I call it in, I put it in his name. And I work the whole process with them, the whole process, the adjuster meetings, everything. Once they go to their build, when they get their first build, they need to knock that build. I'd have them also when we're driving down the road. Day one, I'd have them going on Facebook Messenger or going through their phone and texting every single person they knew and ask them, "Hey, I started a new job today. Can we look at your roof?" No matter what the age was, right? I don't care if it's 3 years old. There's something to learn up there, right? And if it's 15 years old, we know we got a chance of calling it in. So that was day one behavior for me, and we basically did that until we built their pipeline. Once I got those two guys out, whether it be 90 days or 120 days, or if they're a little bit quicker than, some and they're 60, 70 days and they're out on their own and they can climb safely and they're knocking doors and they're generating their own revenue and they know how to read a scope and they know how to do a contract, then I can take two new guys on. But I'm going to build those two guys pipeline because in my heart, look, their whole family's dependent on me to make them successful. And I took that
Mm.
real serious.
Yeah. There's a lot of different ways to do it. There's a lot of, there's the mass hire and see who,
Yeah, I
sink
don't
or
do that.
swim, right?
Mm-mm.
Like there's a way, but I like the way that you did this. I like that thought process of and the what you put on yourself that, hey, I'm responsible for you now. Like I'm responsible for feeding your
I'm,
family for
yeah,
coming with me, right?
yeah.
Um, what expectations did you have for a sales rep after, right? Like what your sales reps were were you, what was, you said you're a little hard on people. Like, was it like, hey, $1 million is, in a year is like,
That's the bottom
your,
tier.
that's
Yeah.
bottom. You're like,
Yeah.
that's what I was thinking. Like, where was that for you? How, and what did success look like to you for them?
Yeah, I mean, $1 million was the baseline, for our company. $2-3 million producer it wasn't uncommon. We have multiple ones. But the $1 million producer was, being active, being accountable on group me, being at the blitzes when we're blitzing the neighborhood, helping the next man. Once they know the whole process and I know this person's a winner, I give them the opportunity to build a team up on them to duplicate themselves.
Mm,
But until then, right? Until they can do their own
yep.
adjuster meetings, because after 90 days, they're not just free and clear. I'll probably do their adjuster meetings for the next 9 months. If it's a hell claim on architectural shingle, I'm gonna do their adjuster meeting. But wind, if it's a 3-tab single, it's wind, right? Chimpanzee can mark wind on a 3-tab. There's no magic there. But if it's a hell claim, I'm gonna do their hell claims for about the next year. So I'm gonna do
Okay.
their adjuster meetings too. Yeah. So $1 million bare minimum. $100,000 a month is kind of what the standard was. And if you fall below that and you choose not to learn, you kind of weed yourself out. It was,
Yeah, for sure.
well, you had to have thick skin, early on when you were with us, when we hold the bar high and we grind hard, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
zero tolerance on the drugs and alcohol. I mean, that was big at our company, and that's what we're known
Yeah.
for.
And
So
that's the trades are known for that, right? Like, it's a, like, one of the things I thought about when you said that, honestly, was, man, how did you find people then? You know what I mean?
yeah,
Because, like, that it is so built into the culture of the trades, right? That the, going to the bar after work, or, all that
yeah,
type of stuff. It's such,
yeah, there ain't
from
no way.
yeah,
Yeah,
in your
they
recruiting process, it was just more, you did,
off.
"Hey,
Yeah,
I did it, and then I showed it that I'm doing it, and then you attracted people through social media?" Was that the
yeah.
biggest,
So they'd come from my Facebook page, and they already knew what I was about because I post, over posts every day, and
mhm,
because I changed my life and it saved my life, right? I changed my life
yep,
June 6, 2012, and since June 6, 2012, I've made a little over $10 million. And all I did was cut out the drinking and the drugs. So I've told my story multiple times, and if you want to be a part of this, then I need 2 people that want to start immediately, and then let's go, right?
yeah,
But if they've been friends with me on Facebook or following, they already knew what the deal was in the truck, right?
yeah,
And if you were drinking before today, and you were the parent that went home and had 2 every day, and on the weekends, if you have 2 every day on the weekends, you know how many you have on the week. And
uh-huh,
then let's stop all that and get in the gym, get running, get cycling, become a extraordinary human being. I told people once before I could take my sales team that I had, back when I was running the operation, and we could have went and sold peepholes and sold millions of dollars. It didn't matter. It wasn't just roofing, right? We were personally
yeah,
developing people that provided a service that happened to be roofing.
yeah, for sure. What do you think the what do you think the difference is? And it could be mentally, it could be skill set, whatever you think, in the difference between that $1 million a year producer and that $3 million a year producer. What's the difference?
Organization is number one.
Mm,
Family commitments is number two. Habits is number three. And that's the only difference. Are how much are you willing to sacrifice? To be a $3 million producer, you're probably not going to be at little Johnny's T-ball practice every day.
mm,
And you're gonna have to give that up. And maybe there's not a little, maybe you don't have kids, and that's easy beer.
yep,
It's easier to be a $3 million producer. You're not gonna be able to go to all the social events that you want to go to being a $3 million producer. You're not gonna be able to go to all the baby showers and the, this and that and all these birthday dinners and all that being a $3 million producer. Where a $1 million producer, you can, you probably can coach little Johnny's, you can be the assistant first base coach on the 7-year-old, baseball team and be there
mhm,
Tuesdays and Thursdays selling a million. $3 million has got a lot of sacrifices, personal, with your family, your wife, significant other, your kids. At the $3 million producer, where $1 million is pretty easy now, right?
yeah,
That's I mean, dime a dozen. I mean, everybody should
Yeah.
sell about $1 million now. But total sacrifice, right? If you got to get caught up, put your head down. I tell everybody, if you done really messed up and you got into your mid 30s and you done got behind, you don't own a truck or car and you don't own your home and you ain't got really nothing going on, then you need to put your head down for about 3 million, about 3 years, and sell you a couple million a year, and buy your house and buy that truck and get some type of security, and then you can maybe plan out and start a family or become and slow down, but you can't straddle the fence, and you're not gonna get caught up without making those sacrifices if you don't get way behind.
I know you're enjoying the episode, but let's give a shout out to another one of our sponsors. I talk to contractors every day that feel stuck. Not because they're not working hard, but because they're missing the structure to growth without chaos. Or their culture's falling apart because their team's unclear, unaligned, or just burned out. And when change hits, they're reacting instead of leading because time and priorities aren't under their control. Day 41 Thrive helps to fix that with proven strategies for growth, culture, and leadership that actually work. Ready to thrive beyond the storm? Visit the link in the description or visit the Roofing Success Podcast website on the sponsors page to start your journey today.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I've heard this in terms of like investing. Like there was something going around that it was years ago, but it was um, if like the average person in their 20s that goes to college, they get their 60, 80, $100,000 a year job and grow from there. If they just took 10% of their income and, just dropped it in the S&P 500 and, like what that would be when they're 60 compared to someone that starts putting money in at 40 is completely different. Right. And so there's a gap in time that you got to make up for it. If you
It's
didn't,
scary, bro. It's
yeah,
scary.
it
I
is
think
very,
about, I was this
uh-huh.
close to being a loser the rest of my life. I
Yeah.
was this close. Without roofing, I would have been a loser the rest of my life, bro. And I wouldn't have had nothing. And we don't even realize that, I'm around people still this day that think that, people, and this is what they grew up around, that people that come home and have 2 or 3 drinks a night, that's not alcoholic. I was just having a conversation with somebody last night that said they don't think that person's an alcoholic. I said, you really don't? And they just don't know
Yeah.
any better. Right. So
They
that
don't know any better. Yeah.
and then when I got in these rooms and made all this money and I got in different rooms after the private equity deal or when I was with private equity, working with them, and I realized that, bro, the conversations are way more different. Their kids grew up different. It's a whole different, I realize now that I grew up, I was in the corner of the dumpster, bro. And like, yeah, that's not normal. Like that, a lot of stuff
Yeah.
that we think is normal isn't normal. And we got to break that cycle. Yeah, that's not normal. you know,
Yeah. And you've broken that cycle and you've helped others break that cycle. What do you think from a psychological standpoint, like what do you have to decide? Like what's that decision that you have to make or what's that mindset shift that you have to make to change that trajectory in life?
Are you going to make the sacrifices? Are you going to go
Mhm.
without for a while? Are you going to miss some stuff for a while? It's all about sacrifice. Even when people say, that, they hammer me with some of my reels, saying I miss my practices with my kid and I miss that. They hammer me, but somebody's going to have to make the sacrifices to change the
Yeah.
family tree. Somebody's going to have to make the sacrifices to build a $50 to $100 million a year company. It's not going to come at 9 to 5. It's not going to come working half days on Fridays. It's not going to come not working the weekends. What are you going to do if a storm hits Friday? You just going to follow that man-made calendar and miss it? Or are you going to win the storm and kill it Saturday, Sunday for the next 2 weeks?
That's right.
Who's going to make the sacrifice? Are you willing to make the sacrifice to change your whole family's trajectory? Somebody's going to have to do that. And that's going to be you, then let's go ahead and make that sacrifice.
And I love that. I love the term sacrifice or the way that you're framing it in the way of sacrifice. If you want to change your health, you have to sacrifice a lot of treats, you know what I mean? Or those, bad habits. You're going to have to sacrifice going when you go out to dinner, you're going to have to sacrifice choosing this meal versus that meal, right? There's a
Yeah,
lot of
or that favorite show that's on every night or 5 nights a
that's
week
right.
or whatever, bro. You gonna go? You wanna stop taking high blood pressure medication? Maybe put down
Yeah,
the Netflix and go to the gym, and maybe watch it on the gym on your phone on the treadmill. You got to make to make any change in life. It's going to come with a sacrifice. To build any great company or any great organization, whether it be a 501c or a company for profit, somebody's going to have to make some sacrifices. And if it's all on you, are you going to make that sacrifice, or are you just going to keep straddling the fence or taking easy street? But to build anything great, you're going to miss some pleasure. It's going to be hard. It's going to be tough. There's going to be, going to set boundaries with the wife. You're going to have to explain to the kids that, hey, this is temporary. I'm doing this for. But, are you willing to make that sacrifice and have the hard conversations and put up the healthy boundaries for friends and family?
yeah,
There's not, and once you do it, you realize that there's no rocket science to it. It's really quite simple. Once you start you make your life really simple, really simple. Like you don't have that group of friends that you're obligated to spend every weekend with, going to dinners, going to late, once you simplify your life, your health starts coming back and you start making more money. It's just being really simple.
yeah. That's it. Making those decisions, a lot of times the influence from the people around you is what the hardest part is. Was that hard for
That,
you? Have you
that,
seen it hard for other people?
Yeah, I mean, I went with when I went to rehab, I was in rehab for 4 or 5 months before I actually went to court for a charge that I was out on bond for, and I got a 5-year sentence for there, right? So I'd already got away from the people I needed to get away
Mhm.
from the 4 or 5 months in rehab, and then I got a 5-year sentence. I did 3 years on, and then I paroled out to the rehab, right? So that was my
Yes.
disconnect from everybody I needed to be away from. And then I never reconnected with those people because when I went into rehab on June 6, 2012 and I signed the paperwork and I went in there and I put my little bag down and I laid down the bunk and I put my head down and I was in the bunk. At that point in time, look, dude, it's not just about getting a bunch of clean days. I'm about to change my whole life. I'm about to work on my character defects. I'm about to stop the cheating. I'm about to stop the drinking. I'm about to stop the drugs. I'm about to stop the selling drugs. I'm about to start the sexting or whatever it is, whatever, all the poor behavior, right? I did a 180. But it's just not about getting clean. It's about changing your whole life, right?
Yeah.
And then that's where the work comes. And then it's not instant gratification. It takes years to turn that all around, right? It was 5 years before I made 6 figures after that point in time. I had been 5 years clean before I made my first 100 grand. It's not
Yep.
instant, it's a lot of sacrifice and a lot of keeping it really simple. It's go to work, right? It's go and find a commission-based job so you're paid for your worth or paid for your hustle. It's gym, it's home. And if you're Christian, go to church. If you're Muslim, go to the mosque, find a higher
Yep.
power and take care of your body like it's your temple and get dialed in. And once you dial all the way in, then you're going to leave people behind you, that aren't living that lifestyle. They naturally fall off once you dial into that schedule. So it all starts with you though, in that one decision. You can make that one decision today after you hear this podcast. It
That's
was
right.
one decision. I made one decision to go to rehab and change my life. And like I said, I've made $10 million since that day.
Yep. I think that, like, some people might go, "Well, yeah, but you were so far, Ray, like, you were so far down this other path that you like, it's make it or break it," right? Like, it's all or nothing at that point in certain ways. What about the guy that makes, 80, 100, 150,000 a year, but he's still drinking, he's not in shape? Like, that's just they're not feeling as much pain as you were feeling,
Yeah, they haven't found
right?
their
Like,
rock bottom, right? But what's your rock
yeah,
bottom? Like, what's your rock bottom?
yeah,
What's your future? I mean, how long is that going to last? Are you still able body? We still need those people. We still need trash man. We still need teachers. We still need custodians. Like I was. I'm not down in
yeah,
that hustle at all because I was a custodian for a year. We still need those people. So do you want to make that choice, or you still want to be one of the worker ants?
yeah. I
You
think
know
it
what I
might
mean?
be
Like,
yeah. I
what's
I
your
I
rock
wonder if
bottom?
I wonder if it's harder for people, like, because they don't have a rock bottom. They're doing just
There's no
well enough.
ultimatum, right? There's no ultimatum.
Yeah.
But like I said,
Yeah.
bro, that's the masses. That's 80%. You
That
got
is.
to be like, hey, I want to, those people can do it easier too, right? Because when I did it, if I missed a child support payment, I don't know what would have happened to me. I would have got a life sentence probably. If I missed my
Yeah.
guardian ad litem payment, I would have got a life sentence. If I would have missed, you know what I mean? Ain't no telling. I would never, I don't know telling what would have happened if I would have missed,
Yeah.
paying for my supervised visitation. I couldn't imagine missing that payment. And I was doing that knocking doors. But it's just, what, I didn't never want to be average neither though. I've never, when I
That's the
traffic,
thing. Yep.
yeah, when I traffic drugs, I trafficked them, by the duffel bag. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When I got a racketeering conviction at 26 years old for RICO Act, racketeering influence corrupt organization. I never wanted to be ordinary. I never wanted, just the normal life. I mean, I wanted more. And then, once I found myself and realized that, I wanted more, but to have morals and ethics and, change my family tree and not my son, not to grow up in, a broken home. He already started off in one, right? We weren't even together
Yep.
when he was born. But when I understand that, I'm coming from, poor behavior and poor moral values, and that, I come from a divorced family where both parents drank and infidelity, I came from that, right? And once I opened my eyes up, I got sober along and said, bro, I was just part of a statistic. Every household doesn't drink every day. Everybody's people's parents aren't divorced. Everybody doesn't, and I was like, wow, dude. And then like I said, I started getting those other rooms as I made more and more money and met these PE people and all that. And started going to the meetings with them. And it's like, wow, dude, I can't even imagine how their kids are growing up and everything. And it just made me want, to clean up everything else in my life, right? I
Yes.
wanted to clean everything up in my life.
Maybe that's part of it, is seeing the opportunity also. Like I had good friends that I worked with in the real estate industry that grew up in Santa Ana, California, in kind of the lower working class neighborhoods there. And he had told me one time, he was like, but we were right next to Irvine. Irvine was a higher end, or like not a not a it's wealthy, upper middle class to wealthy.
Right.
He's and he, like, to him, he saw that was an option. And so, when you see that it's an option, now that you've gone through like the real whole journey, right, of PE and the whole thing, a lot of people are starting to chase that exit. What are some of the things in that journey and through the acquisition that nobody talks about?
I know you're enjoying the episode, but let's give a shout out to another one of our sponsors. If you and your team aren't trained on AI yet, you're already falling behind. Competitors using AI are generating more leads, closing jobs faster, and running leaner. The AI roofing revolution gives your team the training to implement AI so you stay ahead, not scramble to catch up. Don't wait until you're losing. Get trained now at the link in the description or the sponsors page of the Roofing Success Podcast website.
What are some of the things in that journey and through the acquisition that nobody talks about?
Well, yeah, that's a hard one there. Well, not that hard. Don't focus on selling. Focus on building something great. The sale will come to you if it's meant to be. Focus on selling over 10 million, a year. But don't let it, don't become a prisoner to it. Just focus on building a great company that can provide for your family, a scalable company that can run when you're not there. That's very important to be able to sell. It has to be able to run. The leadership's got to be thick and layered, right? If they remove you, would it still run? That's hard in roofing, and that was hard for us.
Yeah.
When I exited, because I was out there every day. But I had developed great leaders that run the company now, and and they took it and they're killing it, and they're duplicating themselves just like I did to make them, and they're doing it again. So it's great. So layering the leadership there so you can scale. That's what you need to focus on. But don't focus on the sell. I mean, if you're going to focus on, if there's anything that you need to hit, and that's 10 million a year with a CRM, with a training manual. You know what I mean? So that you can onboard people, and also can the company run without you? And be in compliance, right? Do understand the difference between a W-2 and a 1099.
Yeah. I like to tell, or the way I like to express it is if you build a business, whether you sell or not, if you build a business, you're building a business. You're not being like, you can be self-employed in this industry very easily and make a great living, right? But if you build a business, then you have the options, right? You have the option of if that PE company comes to you or someone comes to you to buy it, or if you even want to just pass it on to a future generation or sell it to your key employees or whatever it
Yeah.
is. Like, if you build a business, that's where the value is. It's not
That's where it comes
yeah,
at. Yeah, I mean, I built a rehab, a men's recovery center that we ended up selling. It just naturally happened. I built a
yep,
mobile detail business, mobile car detail business that we sold. Built a call center that we sold to private equity to, and it just naturally happened. And the roofing business, same thing, as they started, calling us, and we found the right broker that and it worked out great. Then I sold my buddies, I sold my buddy to us, right, to our platform. And then I sold my another acquaintance of mine, sold his mitigation company for 9 figures. And then another acquaintance of mine, we sold his company for 9 figures to a steel company. And these guys weren't even planning to sell. I wasn't planning to sell.
yeah,
I wasn't planning to sell all those businesses that I sold. I'm just a street, hustler turned, sober, door knocker. It just happens, bro. And if you build,
yeah,
attractive businesses that are branded right, the people are going to come and find you. And if you're out there trying to sell it, it won't sell.
yeah,
For whatever reason, it just doesn't work. I sold all those businesses. I never called one person to sell those businesses. They called me, and I sold every
yeah.
single one of those.
And that's what happens because the execution is visible, right? Like, there are people watching all the time. We were on the other side. We were selling two roofing companies, but I know at the IRE, there are people walking the IRE floor, the trade show booths, not to see what the next cool product is, to see what the next cool company they could buy is, right? Like,
Right? Yeah.
there is a different game that's being played that people don't even understand is happening around them. There are people watching your roofing company all the time. They're watching to see
100%. Yeah.
they are, there are investors that are looking to acquire companies with a certain buy criteria in a certain market, and they're watching. They're watching.
I, I
They're
always tell everybody be a marketing social media company that happens to
uh,
provide a service, and it will sell. You
so
know what I
what are
mean?
yeah, you've done a great job of that. You've been authentic on your social media. What are some things that people can do to make, it's just as I think that picking this up and pointing it at your face is sometimes heavier than opening that car door to get out and knock. Like, those are the two heaviest things, right? The car door and the phone to pick, like, for social media. What got like, what advice could you give someone to
Yeah, I mean,
expand their social media presence?
yeah, bro. I mean, if you're out there and you're selling stuff and you're based off commission, or you're providing a service that people need, home services or any. I mean, Facebook's free. So why aren't you sharing what you're doing? People want to buy from people, not brands. So if you're a good person and you're showing the service you provide, it's on social media. You can doom scroll without purpose, or you can doom scroll and make money all day because you've showed who you are, representing either your own brand or a brand you represent and a service you provide. And people are watching you and liking your pictures and stuff. They buy from the person, not the brand. That's why I tell people all the time, do not sit there and share your business page. Share on your personal page and tag your business. People want to buy from people, not businesses.
Yeah,
They want to buy from you because they like who you are. They like that you're that you race bikes. They like that you're healthy and you run. They like that you're volunteering at the, Red Day with Keller Williams and building the beds for the homeless kids. They buy from you. They don't care nothing about, my old roofing company. They wanted to buy from somebody that changed their life. They didn't, and they wanted to work with somebody that had changed their life.
yeah,
And that values that person. It had nothing to do with the name of the roofing company. They wanted to say, I don't even mention it now. They wanted to work with somebody that was going to go out there and make sure they were successful and that was living a clean, healthy life. They didn't care nothing about what the company was called. They cared about who they were affiliated with.
yep. It's amazing, man. It really is. I've had this conversation for years now. And it's when you put yourself out there, the amount of opportunity that opens up to you is crazy. When did that traction start hitting and you were like, "Oh, wait, I was just posting." And then all of a sudden, like, I'm
And
getting phone calls from
yeah,
homeowners, or I'm getting people wanting to
yeah.
work for me. Like, when did that happen for you? And when did that light bulb go off and you went, "Oh, no, this is powerful."
Yeah, work with me. Remember, work with me.
Yeah,
Yeah, no.
work with me. That's right,
I'm
yeah.
just messing with you, bro.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, no, in 17, so I didn't like knocking doors, right? I'm covered head to toe in tattoos. I'm 6'2", 200 pounds. So I'm a little intimidating at your door, right? Hey, and so I didn't like knocking doors. So I started Facebook messaging everybody. Hey, when's the last time you had your roof looked at? I do free repairs. If there's something wrong with it, it takes me under 15 minutes. I'll just go ahead and seal it up or fix it. But let me just come take a look at it. And I showed everybody what I was doing. I also showed my, I guess redemption to recovery. That I was changing my life and volunteering and helping others and taking second chance people and actually living the life. So once I really started sharing on in 17, and it all started because I didn't like knocking doors, right? I was just trying to get leads from the social media, which I
Yeah,
usually get like 1 or 2 a day. I sold 1 million from the house, last year, still from social media, with my
yeah.
guys. Um, yeah, I mean, in 17, when I think, and when I think that we were one of the first people to make being a roof and sales rep cool,
Mm,
and see how it changed your life. And you could see our stories, and we kind of showed our stories, and we showed our guys stories of them buying their truck, buying their first house, and kind of told their stories. I think that made people want to buy for us and work with us. But we showed the whole journey, full transparency, right? And when you're given full transparency, you gotta walk that line too, right? You gotta pay every rep. You can't, be arguing on there. You sometimes even when homeowners, you gotta go the extra mile, even if you weren't responsible for that rotted wood, you gotta pay for it because they can blast you on there. So when you go full transparency, you gotta walk that line for real.
mm.
But I think that, just showing the journey, right? From day one, we were real transparent on, hey, we're out here looking at roofs, doing free inspections, and we're also out here changing our lives as we make this money and buying the houses and watching these guys, get married and showing their, baby, their little, ultrasound pictures and, you know what I mean? And showing their journey and their recovery days. And, I think that, just showing the whole story, I think that made people want to buy for us and join us to work with us.
Yeah, for sure. It's so crazy.
Yeah.
There's I can't remember the name of the book off the top of my head. I probably have it back here somewhere, but there was a graph that was it was a pie chart, and it was 1% of people online or on social media are creators. 9% are contributors, and 90% are lurkers. And that hit me real hard years ago. I was like, that's who you're doing. You're doing it for the lurkers. It's not the comments that you're getting and those are the contributors, right? That's the 9%. You're the 1% doing the content creation. 9% of people, they're liking, they'll throw you a comment, they'll share your stuff, right? They're contributing. But there's this huge amount of people that are they see it. They don't say anything. But then when the time comes to get their roof replaced or that they're looking for an opportunity, that they know exactly where they want to go when that happens. It's a crazy, crazy experience.
Yeah. And it's
Yeah,
free. And it's free.
and it's free.
And I
That's a
don't understand
that's
why people don't do it. That's what I don't understand why people don't do it. It was free. I didn't have nothing. When I started, bro, like I said, dude, I went and bought a truck and I knew in 2 weeks I had to pay $900 in child support and I had to pay $300 for a supervised visitation, right?
Yep.
$300 and so I had to come up $1,200. Once I bought my truck and I got $100 a claim number and $200 for a signed contract. So I got $300 for a whole roof, right? So I had to come up with what was it, $1,200 in 2 weeks, and I left there with $261 in my pocket after buying my truck. You see what I'm saying? But I know through the power of social media and the
Mm,
power God gives me to put breath in my lungs from knocking doors that I was gonna do it. and I just worked for 13 days straight, and I got the money, right? And I promise you, 75% of it came from that free social media page that I was
Yeah.
scrolling on anyways, because I didn't have a girlfriend, I didn't have I didn't have anybody. So that's all I used to do is I would go to work, I would go run, and then my socializing wasn't at the lake. My socializing wasn't at the coolest new little eatery. My socializing was after I got out of the shower, I'd just scroll until I went to sleep. 'Cause I didn't have
Yeah.
enough money to be out there in the public. I was barely making it. You know what I mean? So I can either scroll with intention and get another inspection while I'm scrolling, or I can scroll and look at everybody's, lives and like their
Yeah.
stuff. Their kids' soccer made 3 goals or whatever. Or I can you make me a little post, hey, I do free roof inspections, and then start scrolling. And guess what? Hey, can you come look at my roof tomorrow? I'm on there anyway. I might as well make
That's right.
a couple of grand. So I don't get it, right? Because people buy from people and not brands. And once people get that, I think, yeah, I don't know why they don't get it.
Yeah, that's it. It's a great point, and I think that those are the things that a lot of people miss early on are those relationship opportunities. They're looking at, well, what could we do? Can we hire a canvassing team? Can we get telemarketing leads? Can we go buy home advisor leads? Can we do SEO? Can we do pay per click? What can we do? But they forget the relationship.
You
Just
gotta do
those
all that.
simple,
Everything you just named was
simple
great. Yeah.
it's great. It's all
Yep.
great. But the
Yep.
fastest way to a sale is knocking a door, or like you're saying, it's a direct message, or having get there fast. Though if you need work today, if you need to make that $1,200, that's boots and knuckles. Like you
Yep.
just get out there and get it. Like there is a way to that job. You're just not spending the time to get it.
That's the new yellow and white pages is Facebook for people that are about
Yeah.
38 to 65 right now, or 75. Let's
Mhm.
just say 75. 'Cause my mom's still on there and she's
Mhm.
in her 70s. But like I said, they want to know somebody that actually used somebody, right? And
That's
they're
right.
on there scrolling from about 38 to, I know the new young kids got these other platforms or whatever. But
Yep.
like the people that actually have money are on Instagram. The people that have money and can afford to pay their deductible are on Facebook, and they're scrolling and they want to use somebody that's actually used somebody, and they'll say, hey, who's your roofer in this area? And you
Yep.
better be on there and put your name.
It's right. It's there's money to be made there. There's the opportunity is there. Take advantage of it. You've been transitioning now. You've been out of work for a while. You're getting bored out there on the ranch riding bikes. So I know you're working with Josie over at SVG and doing some stuff over there. Talk about that a little bit. What do you
Yeah.
got going on?
Yeah, so Josie, I'm partners with Josie now. I bought into SVG. I'm his partner in it. And I brought on a couple other coaches. A kid that's been with me 10 years, Alton Gross is on there with me now. He was off and on with me for 10 years. We got Adam Truner on there that's out at One Solutions. He runs a 9-figure sales team over the last 2 years. I brought them two on as coaches. Yeah, we've been over here filming for basically the last year. We're coming out on the 28th. So the new SVG will be out. The digital learning program will be out on the 28th. So go and sign up. I'm just kidding. But no, for real, go and sign up. But yeah, dude, private equity, they give me a little bit of opportunity to do that. So that's great. They let me do this coaching thing. I'm stir crazy. I still hand out leads for my team every day. I help develop the shoes that you see out there, the Contras.
That's right.
So I've been doing those. I fly out to RoofCon today, actually, to work the booth, at RoofCon for 2 days, and then I'm speaking there about mental toughness or some type of thing. I ain't read the thing yet, but it'll be fine. As long as it's about roofing, I'm fine. But yeah, man, just at home still creating stuff. I think men are wired to create, build stuff. And that's when we're in our best. We're operating at our best. So I always got to do that. And, just been at home racing bikes too. I raced a lot of gravel races, long distance gravel races, and long distance mountain bike races last year too. More than I ever had, probably 20 of them last year.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, yeah, dude, it was really hard. It was harder, when they say, hey, you're gonna get, whatever, 8-figure check for your company. And but man, what are you gonna do? I'm like, bro, I ain't gonna do nothing. But dude, they were right. You're gonna have to do something.
You got to do something.
And
Yeah,
I
it
didn't
doesn't.
realize that's what was keeping me ticking, was changing those guys' lives. Now, it was
Yep,
super hard for me letting go the first year.
yep,
It was rough, bro, and it was rough, handing your baby over. I still got tons of money in it. I'm a stockholder, so I still care a lot, right? Because I got a lot of money
yeah,
still in it. But you got to trust the process, and that, man, I'm the best version. I'm gonna be honest with you. And I email. I have a great relationship with my PE firm, and even though I'm at home, like I still get paid, and stuff like that, and I still have, I'm a preferred stockholder. Um, you got to trust the process. And what I learned, after my exit, the best version of what I've learned, it's frustrating and it's great. What I learned through private equity and what they teach and what they provided my platform, they did over 200 million last year. They did like 235 million last year, and that's amazing, bro, to see your brand do that much. You got to trust the process. They know better than I do, and I had to realize that they do. And they're taking care of my people,
yeah,
100%. But you still got to come out here, and what was itching it for me was changing those guys' lives. And bro, I almost went through like a whole thing of depression, that I didn't get to do that anymore. So when
yeah,
Josie called me to buy in the SVG and be his partner on that, dude, it was a true blessing, because I get to still give back to the industry that saved my life. And I'm a part of Win the Storm. And like I said, anything I can be a part of, I try to help change people's lives, because you got to give it to keep it in recovery. You got to give it to keep it. And, so I got to stay involved, and I got to still, like I said, I sold all those other companies. I didn't even mean to, and sold all those other ones. And then I end up selling, 4 more to private equity after my private equity deal. They just kept coming. And, I truly been blessed financially, bro. And you just got to keep, doing the right thing, bro. And like I said,
for
life's
sure.
not perfect. Life's not perfect. Never going to be perfect. No matter, like I told you, my personal, struggles with my custody battle.
Yeah,
Nothing's going to be perfect. But the money does make those problems easier to deal with.
yeah, it
you
does.
know,
It gives that
Y-
baseline for sure.
yeah, yeah,
It provides better attorneys. Uh,
yeah, yeah.
so now, like looking back at the entire journey, your whole life journey, right?
hmm
Um, business, life, wins, losses. What are you most grateful for now?
Well, first and foremost, my marriage. That's something to be proud of. 5 years together. My relationship with my kid. Um, and then also, fighting that battle, still fighting it now.
Yep,
And being able to take my team from the streets to the boardroom, and that they're in there now and be able to provide for their family.
that's awesome, man. Raymond, man, have fun at RoofCon.
No,
This has
thank
been
you.
another episode of the Roofing Success Podcast.
Thank you for tuning into the Roofing Success Podcast. For more valuable content, visit roofingsuccesspodcast.com. While there, check out our sponsors for exclusive offers, shop for merchandise, and sign up for our newsletter for industry updates and tips. Also, join the Roofing Success Facebook group to connect with other professionals and stay updated on the latest trends. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, like, share, and leave a comment. Your support helps us continue to bring you top industry insights. The website link is in the description. Thanks for listening.